Oh yeah, love me some lo-fi's for another Wednesday of comic books. Um, am I going to say that it's going to be exciting again this week? No, I mean in a way I already said. Welcome all. This is your friend Carlz here with another yeah browse to the weekly comic book whereabouts. I didn't even get into like comic news, honestly. I've been busy doing other stuff. I'm guessing one of the things that I read, I mean, last week that I never thought, I mean, I knew. I mean, I didn't know it, but I sort of had an inkling about it. Is that apparently the all new Venom run has getting a lot of shit. I mean, a lot. That took me by surprise. I mean, I think it's okay, and the fuse between the symbiote and Mary Jane has been interesting, at least different for what it was. I haven't yet sunk my teeth into the Return of Null, but it's been making some noise on the internet, and not the good kind of noises, like I don't know, Van Halen or something. It's people have been hating on it. I know people hated on the character, the husband. What's his name? Uh, Carlitos or something. Like I know people hate him because he's just some random that appeared out of the blue and took the place that the beloved Peter Parker always had. I don't know, but it seems that Venom, all new Venom, has been getting a lot of hate, and they are making the way back pretty soon. I didn't fully read or like check the previews of the upcoming Venom issues, but the fact that he's going back to black and white, I don't know. But whatever, man. Me personally, I think it was fine. And if they're gonna release a trade with only that part of all new Venom, I'll be down for that. But anyways, let's skip the hate and go straight into the love or whatever we found out this week. Let's go. So, today's first recommendation, or this week's first recommendation, is the current ongoing Action Comics that I don't know why it's not called Superman Year 1 or something. Perhaps it's not Year 1? I don't know. But they've been telling stories about Clark Kent's like early days as Superboy in the Action Comic books. It has been interesting, to say the least. They have sort of teased the fact that they will be pushing teenage Clark into a more like extreme situations. Of course, since this is like in the past, sort of like a year one type of situation, they never go full retcon. I mean, sometimes they do, but they won't with Superman, I bet. But they have put them in several like, you can say, teenage situations, sort of going back through his early love for Lana and his early adventures. But now they are teasing like big thing. They're teasing like these sort of foundational moments in Action Comic 1091. Like finally they're gonna put Clark into this one of these how can you say without spoiling anything, but like in these situations that are foundational not only to superheroes but to people in general. So it's gonna be quite interesting for Superman fans. I myself, as a Superman fan, not the biggest Superman fan, but as a Superman fan, I'm looking forward to it because nowadays in comic books, they have to balance in a very like intelligent and thoughtful way when they do things in their past that they could affect their future. All these year ones and all of these flashbacks and everything. Nowadays, personally, I really feel that they are well thought, and which basically means that whatever they do, it's gonna have some repercussion, but not so big. More than a repercussions, they are echoes of what they make the characters great now. You know, that's like a smart sort of it's not a prequel, but like a smart flashback. That's what a smart flashback does. Sort of echoes what makes the character great now. So Um, it's never late to jump into more Superman. The summer of Superman, I think, is over up there in the northern hemisphere. They're gonna go to the winter of Batman or something. Who knows? But yeah, Action Comics has been really good, and now they're going into this not sort of a climax. I don't even know how long this run is going to be, but it has been fun. It's never too late to jump into it. Next, out of all the Age of Relation books coming out this week, I read so many of the previews, right? And this is sort of also a pickup from X-Men from 2 weeks ago when the Age of Revelation sort of like begun. And it began with a bang, like a one sort of image, a one frame bang, where Cyclops had like a, how do you call it? Like when you have this plot or stories that involve a person or an event happening in different points of time and they sort of like clash at one. So basically Cyclops had this sort of stroke where he felt the change of the Age of Revelation as soon as Doug Ramsey came over to Alaska. And they did this really smart thing because they really didn't say anything about the event. They went like, okay, Doug Ramsey wants to be an X-Men, and they go like, okay, let's vote. Who wants Doug Ramsey to be an X-Men? And they go like, yeah, he can be an X-Men. And as soon as Scott Summers shook his hand, he had this sort of between an epiphany and like a stroke, I don't know, but like he saw the Age of Revelation. It was pretty cool, I gotta say. So I picked Amazing X-Men because even though they have so many other spin-off coming out, and it's a whole event, right? I want to follow Scott. I gotta say, I want to follow Scott because I've made no secret that my favorite Scott was the revolutionary Scott. Black suit, big red X. When they were living, I don't remember where, and they had this kind of like guerrilla warfare tactics against the man, you know. I think I'm gonna follow Amazing X-Men because I want to follow Scott in this event. I think he's been a little bit like not shelved or like not like downgraded, but I feel like he hasn't been as prominent as he always was or as he always is. But anyways, Age of Revelation points out to be a big thing, and there's a bunch of number ones coming out this week for the event. As always, I'm always like in between 1 or 2 weeks before I sped up some issues or some stories to be, but like whatever. The Age of Revelation starts in October. When does it end? I think it ends in January or something. But anyways, Scott, follow Scott. I had the feeling that he's gonna be in the middle of it, not only because he's Scott, but I think intentionally they're gonna make it. And now that I know like what's going on and how they're gonna stop, I'm even more curious to know what's gonna come out of the end of the event. I mentioned that when they announced it, like this event that happened in the future, the more interesting thing is what repercussions they have in the present, right? Amazing X-Men number 1. Next, this is a sort of like an update, you know. I've been trying to do these quick updates. So in Avengers number 31, I did say that Mirdin or whatever his name was Krang. I said it, and I don't want to be like the classic self-indulgent prick, but I said it. I said it was Krang, and he is fucking Krang. And I think I'm saying Krang like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles now, but he is Krang. And I don't know, I had completely forgotten about the fact that Avengers is like almost at number 800. This is number 31 is Legacy 700. I have it written down. 797. 797. So I had no idea that the current Jed McKay run was aiming towards that. I think maybe we have those kind of like a bunch of pieces coming on together, like the introduction of the Impossible City and like the Ashen Combine, like the Avengers opposites and whatever Kang is doing. I think we are in that sort of situation to aim for a good Avengers number 800 or like for something important to happen. I just knew it was Kang. I knew it. Even though it can be another version of him, like that shit. He's done that all the time. So fuck Krang. I keep calling him Krang. Fuck Kang. We wanna see what happens with the Avengers. So they're teasing like revelations about the Ashen Combine and the Impossible City, the current headquarters of the Avengers. And come on, it must be intentional. Like the current lineup, it must be intentional. So one of them is gonna do something important, or like one of them is gonna go through something important. It has to. It has to. We have the Witch and Vision having their own solo series. The Panther is being kind of like out. Iron Man is getting a new solo book by the end of the year, I think. Like the one with Emma Frost or something. Storm is ending. Like it's Captain Marvel doesn't have an ongoing. This might be a good time for it. I don't know. That's the update, the quick update. Avengers number 31 coming out this week. I don't have to say the publisher, right? Next. I talked last week about Umbrella Academy. That's another Gotham Academy, and how DC wasn't that strong on the younger side of the demographics. And I talk about this Children of the Round Table Court, the comic book written by this is a Tom Taylor joint, right? Yeah, and the awesome art by Daniel Di Nicuolo. Man, his art is good. It's like some sort of like anime. I'm not an anime hater, but like I'm an anime exhausted kind of person. Like I got saturated by anime. I don't care that much for it, but I love this Western. You can call it Western artists that they do this. How can you say it? Like more flashier type anime. That sounds stupid, being that anime is flashy as fuck, but they do this. You gotta see his art. Like he uses light. Like he did this space thing. I don't remember the name, but everything was like what is that shit that Michael Bay always uses? Lens flare. It was like pretty lens flares everywhere. But whatever. No, it's not about the art in this case. It's about the story. So kids playing Knights of the Round Table. It's a pretty basic shit. And issue 1 wasn't nothing really like, how can you say, like the classic kid story, like a bunch of kids run into something special and they run with it. That's the classic kid story. So none of the kids had really had a chance to develop, but they already did like kind of like the big thing of making the sort of king character like something special. I don't want to spoil it. Go read number 1. I think it has potential. What they always do in this type of more like kid-oriented books in DC is eventually bringing up like Superman or Batman or whatever. So you always are looking forward to that. In this case, since it's like the Knights of the Round Table, I guess Wonder Woman should make an appearance. I don't know. But since it's one of the few sort of demographic-oriented books in DC, it's a sure recommendation. Plus, it's only a number 2, so it's like a Steam game, you know, like you have a certain amount of time to return it if you don't like it. Number 1, number 2 is a good try. At least the art by the Nicuolo, it's awesome. That's for sure. Next. I've been trash talking. I mean, not trash talking Harley Quinn, but basically, I haven't been entertained by whatever Harley Quinn is doing. So this weird crossover that to me is more interesting than fucking Batman versus Deadpool. And I might talk about it in the future. Like Harley Quinn is meeting Elvira or Elvira if you want to be more Latino, right? They released Elvira solo comic book where she went through, like, how can you say it? Like different types of horror movies, like more than comic books. I mean, more than horror movies. She went through like horror movie icons. So she met like Lovecraft, and I think she met Bela Lugosi. Like it was interesting. It wasn't necessarily like like could you say like a big deal. It felt more like a tribute to all horror. That was it. I mean, me growing up in Latin America, honestly, I didn't really get to meet the characters that much. Like I didn't. Like she had like a show, right? She had like a show on TV where she would talk about horror movies, right? I think I think I read about it, or like I went and researched about her a little bit when these books were coming out. But anyways, the point is that she did this. You can call it like four wall breaking, but like she did this thing where she actually did something that really Harley like when they started like sort of making Harley this Deadpool type of character, you could say. But anyways, she went places, and it was really interesting, especially if you're a horror fan. So, well, now she's doing a crossover with Harley. It's two characters that are way similar in more than one ways. So, I guess it's gonna be at least fun. That's what I'm trying to say. It was Elvira's solo book where she met horror icons was weird, and Harley hasn't been that fun in a while. So at least they're gonna do something fun with it. And Jimmy Palmiotti, who wrote or who was in the lead for one of my favorite Harley runs, is coming back to write this one. So it might be a better crossover than Deadpool and Batman. So let's do a quick jab to Deadpool and Batman. Let's just say like Deadpool is a character with all of these characteristics, and Batman is a character with all of these characteristics. You put them together, and you don't shake them. You don't make a mix. You just put them together. It's like water and oil. They don't mix. They are just there in the same cup, and that's it. How is that fun? You know, it was okay. I hope this one is a little better. So Harley Quinn meets Elvira or Elvira, published by Dynamite Comics. Ah, at least it's bound to have some cameos from, like, as I said, Bela Lugosi or like Gary Oldman, Weird's Dracula. Next. So while Marvel is doing the Age of Revelation, the big end of the year event for DC starts this week with DC KO's #1 by Joshua Williamson and Scott Snyder, the writers and the main head honchos in it. When they did the big announcement in YouTube, they did sort of like talk about the event, and they said like we wanna focus on the fun. We're gonna focus on like I don't know, like they said something about what made comic great of us as a kid. Like to me, it was just I had this friend, right, who used to have as a wallpaper on his phone a picture of Goku fighting Superman. Of course, it was a joke. Of course, it was a joke, but that is basically what they seem to be like offering with DC's KO. Even though it's still DC and they still want to make a story about the return of Darkseid, and they are doing some sort of like a battle world or Secret Wars type of thing, where all the heroes are gonna fight in this tournament, in this sort of contained space where like it can affect their stories overall, right? It's an event, right? But they need to fight a tournament to sort of like stop Darkseid. It's strange. Like basically, they're fighting this tournament, and they have to fight it to stop Apocalypse. But if you win, you get sort of corrupted. I don't know. But as I said, like the plot of the event on itself, it seems not to be the main focus, but the main focus seems to be this fun, sort of imaginative crossover where, like, okay, I never thought I would see Superman fighting Goku. I mean, Goku's not gonna be there, but like, they're gonna do some fun stuff. I hope, I bet they're gonna repeat the whole Batman is so clever that he's gonna defeat everyone with just cleverness. I don't know. The event on itself, it doesn't seem to be like a big deal to me. I mean, Apocalypse is, right? So he's always gonna be there. So the plot on itself, but it's gonna be fun to see Batman outsmarting random heroes again. I even don't have that much like expectations about the event having big repercussions after it. It just seems to be like a big blockbuster movie by the end of the year, which is not bad at all. Not bad at all. Given that most of the big characters on DC, like, they are doing pretty well and they're doing like fun stuff. Batman, Green Lantern, Superman. I mean, Batman not as much as Superman. Yeah, I see it like that. A big blockbuster movie for the end of the year, which is not bad. But we have to always take into account that DC never fucks around with events. Like, if DC says what they're releasing is an event, something important is always going to happen, which is not the case with Marvel. This is an important thing to have in mind. When DC says it's an event, the quote unquote event, something relevant always happens. And as relevant, I mean something that is gonna be in the, you know, when they do those compilation stories, the story of the DC universe. Yeah. So even if it's just a blockbuster movie by the end of the year, you still gotta, if you are into DC, you still gotta look at it. Now that I think about it, that's a pretty smart thing they did with the events, like making them more exclusive and having them always having something of importance. A pretty smart thing. But anyways, this is KO, beginning this week. Next. This is another update. I talked about the Starbreaker Supremacy a couple of times, and it's finally ending. Man, the previous issue, it wasn't in the Green Lantern Corps because it was across all the Green Lantern books. Jon Stewart fused with the battery, and it was so emotional. Like, it was great. The emotional spectrum was like fucking up and everywhere, and one of the most cold and calculated people in the whole corps, Jon Stewart, sort of have this revelation, and it's a callback to what happened to him way before, like several story arcs before, when he sort of like became one with the light or something. It was like something profound of metaphysical repercussions or whatever. But he has this revelation, and he delivers himself like Jesus to the main battery, re-establishing the emotional spectrum, and everybody's back. The red lanterns, the yellow, the orange ones, the purple one, everybody's back. So the most cold and calculating person has restored the balance to the emotional spectrum, but the Starbreakers are still coming. And a big revelation is coming out of, I think she was Bolivian even, like the little girl that was the, I think she was introducing one of the teen books, right? Teenage Mutant Ninja Heroes. It wasn't Teen Titans, was it? But anyways, a big revelation of who she is and how can she wield the green light without being a Green Lantern herself, like technically. This is a big update, it's a big ending, and I really liked it. As I said before, I'm not a big Green Lantern fan, but the Starbreaker Supremacy has been really fun. I really liked it, and I really come to love Jon Stewart. I think he has become my favorite Green Lantern. Like, definitely. Like all of the other ones, they are kind of like too hero-y, if you can say it. Like, so they fall into so many of those tropes. But Jon Stewart feels like real. Feels like a real human being, which is great. So him sacrificing to the battery was hype as fuck. But anyways, a little bit of update. The Starbreaker Supremacy finishes this week. Totally recommended. It's definitely gonna set up whatever the Green Lantern Corps are doing after that. So cool. Next. One of the I think this might be my recommendation for the week. There's a couple of things that has to be really said about not the comic or the author right now, but like, I don't know if I'm the appropriate person to talk about what they call non-exploitation. It's kind of like a strange phenomena. We have probably, many of us have already seen it, right? The non-exploitation genre is like where basically you take a nun and make them do none things, right? They are either of a sexual character or like a violent character. So in a nutshell, this is what this new book published by Boom Studios, Marian Heretic, basically is. Right? It's non-exploitation. It's a nun doing none things. But this is when we bring up the author Tini Howard. She sort of like redid, like, to me in my memory, is her run with Catwoman and her sort of like rebuilding of Betsy Braddock as a character. There's a bunch of, you could say, character building, but it has to be with identity and sexuality in both of those books. So maybe this non-exploitation is not gonna be solely focused on a hot nun, which is on itself kind of like a thing, right? I mean, if you see the book's main cover, I think the hot nun area is covered. But what I'm trying to say, this is gonna be a non-exploitation book with some flair on it. Given the people involved in it, I'm pretty sure, or I have a strong feeling that it's not just gonna be hot nun doing violent thing. It's gonna have some subtext. I chose, as usually for some of these books, I didn't wanted to read too much about it, because as soon as I saw the names on it and I gotta say the cover, I'm like, okay, I'm down. I'm gonna check it out. So I didn't want to spoil to me the number one. I think that is a thing that that I like doing. I don't really like sort of like spoiling too much of the number ones. Maybe the subsequent issues, maybe that's okay. Like getting a little bit more of context. But like the number ones, I want them to give me the impression raw and ruling, as our dear Smigol would say. But yeah, Marian Heretic, number one by Boom Studios. Looks interesting. Plus the design is pretty cool. Gotta give it to it. Okay, next. This is a short one. Just as a... I don't know. I didn't even notice that has been 20 years since Planet Hulk. So the original team behind it, or at least Greg Pak, they're retelling a story of Planet Hulk. It's been strange because they have mentioned a lot about Planet Hulk in the current Imperial event. One of the sort of ongoing storylines is related to Planet Hulk. To be honest, I read this such a long time and I know the main basics of it, but I've completely sort of forgotten the main things about it. But it's amazing. It's been 20 years and we still talk about it. People still love it. That's one of the best Hulk stories. But to me, Hulk is doing better now. As a not, there's a complexity to Planet Hulk, but there is a bigger or like better level of enjoyment in the current horror-oriented Hulk. Let's just put it like that. This is a good refresher, like a good happy birthday, but like there's nothing more to say. It's Planet Hulk, just another story of like the brutal Hulk king or whatever. Not my favorite Hulk, but it's there. A little pick me up or a little like reminder of 20 years past, I guess. Next. So the Marvel Knights, the world to come, it's expanding, and Palmieri already talked about him for Harley and Elvira. They're releasing The Punisher, and I want to mention this book only because, or like only out of frustration. I mentioned The Punisher a couple of weeks before because they are doing a new volume, right? And it's been mildly annoying on how they just brushed out what happened in the previous volume where he was the what was it called, like the god destruction of the hand or something, like for God's sake, his wife came back. His reason to be, like that ending of his wife driving away. I'm not gonna give it all away, but let's just say it's a big deal, that ending for the previous Punisher volume. So now perhaps my only really sort of like curiosity of picking up this Punisher from World to Come is to see if they finally acknowledge what the fuck happened there. You know, these future jumping stories, that's sort of like the danger of it, like the double-edged danger. That's a saying, right? Yeah, the dangers of it, because there's so much past from these characters, so you jump into the future and you either create a starting point in the future, like let's say 20 years from now this happened, so now you're seeing this version of the character 30 years now, so we ignore whatever happened before. You see my point? But anyways, this is a curiosity pick. Curiosity/frustration pick for the Punisher from the World to Come. And the general World to Come, the one with Black Panther and all, that's been okay. It's been okay. But like the World to Come, even though it's supposed to be like close, it's not like in the far future, it's supposed to be in the near future. Even though it's supposed to be in the near future, I think it has been just okay. Not as hype as I would like it to be. But anyways, the Punisher #1, part of the World to Come. What is it called? Initiative? Is it? I don't know. Next. So another couple of quick recommendations before we finish this week. They are releasing a compilation of Something is Killing the Children, a monster hunter walks into a bar. It was interesting. I've mentioned basically the anthology Hello Darkness. I mentioned a couple of times how many editorials and stuff, they have these horror compilations with different stories. But whatever. Part of the Hello Darkness, they had short stories related to the Something is Killing the Children universe. I think it has a name, that universe that they have created. But anyways, the short stories were like from the perspective of the people that what was her name? Oh, I had it in the tip of my tongue. Erica Slaughter. Like they were different perspectives of her, giving the character a little bit more of depth, and more than depth, they sort of showed her from an sort of like an heroic point of view. Something is Killing the Children has grown beyond anything that anyone could have imagined. So these short stories put together into this one shot, or I think they're gonna make more than one, but whatever. They probably people miss them in as part of Hello Darkness, so getting them into this one book form is great. It gives the Erika character more depth, it gives you more context, and it gives you a sort of like uh, a release, or like you could say, like a stop from the whole big thing that this world has become. It has become so big that this book is going to give you like the concentrated sort of like drip coffee like flavor that you liked it about it at the beginning, that you like about it at the beginning. Just a concentrated dose of Erika is great. So if you've been liking the Something is Killing the Children universe and you want a refresher on why Erika is so cool, this compilation of story previously released on Hello Darkness is the one for you. A monster hunter walks into try saying the whole name of the book. Something is killing the children. A monster hunter walks into a bar. As someone who is whose language like English is not my first language, and that is a tongue twister. I don't know if English people like people that whose native language is English found it as complicated, but that's pretty complicated. And one final like quick recommendation. I'm not the biggest Brian Lazzarello fan, but this is The Creeping Below, number 4. I think it only has like one issue left, and I want to recommend this to a really specific group of people. The book itself was promoted as like Norwegian black metal in a comic book, and I gotta say it has delivered. It has the vibes, it has the looks. Like you could even put some, I don't know, insert your favorite black metal band that it's not Nazi while you listen to it, and it's been good. It's a short book, and it's sort of like, as I said, a visual representation of black metal, a genre that I happen to enjoy once in a while. So black metal in a comic book form. As I said, I'm not a big Brian Azzarello fan, but I think this is a good dose. It's a good dose of the visuals, the style, and the overall feeling of black metal. Actually, when the book began, I didn't even know that they were promoting it like that. I knew it about later when I read that they promoted it as like a book about black metal. And it's about to end, so if you don't pick it up now, maybe you pick the trade later. But as I said, this is only if you really dig the whole black metal vibe, the whole horror aspect, and the whole in really specifically the whole nature side of it. You know those jokes when they have like immortal prancing through like a Norwegian forest. You know, like that horror, forest, and monsters. If you put it like that, sounds pretty cool. But it's not that cool. It's more dark than cool. Could be. They're not mutually exclusive issues. But anyways, The Creeping Below number 4 by Boom Studios. I think there's one issue left. So if you like black metal, get into it. And that has been my week. Gotta say, I mean, I've been leaning towards DC recently. It just has come out naturally. I think Imperial has, in the case of Marvel, Imperial has been a little bit diluted, and now with the Age of Revelation being like superimposed, I don't know. That's why I always have a little bit more of predilection for DC events. As I mentioned, when they go in DC and they say this is an event, you know it's a big deal. So it's a little bit more hyped. But anyways, the world of comics never stops, and better hydrate, humidify, or like, how can I say, moisturize? Can you say moisturize your eyes? Yeah, moisturize so you can keep reading, because that's what I'm gonna do. I have my teardrops right in front of me, and I'm about to drop some of them and get into some reading. I hope you do too. Thank you all for listening, and see you all next week. Bye bye.